There's so many people interested in the question of quality agriculture and quality food. Also, thank you for the invitation. And thank you for both the participants in the panel and in the public. Also, thanks to the people who put energy in translating what is being said here in front. They're doing a wonderful job. So we come from now FAO level. I would like to get back down to the earth, to the soil, to the ground level, to the local level. That's what I'm going to talk about. That is the Gazap network, which is a network based here in Brussels, where we are now. I will shortly present myself. So my name is Maarten Roels. I'm a researcher at the University of Ghent. I'm trained in philology, law and biology, and I'm now a project manager in a cooperative that deals with access to land. I'm also a member of the board of the Gazap network and some other networks. What I would like to do with you is have a quick reminder of the situation we are now in agriculture. I didn't make a PowerPoint presentation because I like to look at you and I like to have a direct contact with you rather than use intermediates, which is also very typical for the Gazap network. We have direct contact between producers and consumers, and we put the human being and nature in the middle, not technology. So, what is happening today is that the average age of farmers in Europe is 55 years. What is happening too is that the number of hectares per farm is growing and the number of farmers is decreasing very quickly. It is quite a critical situation. If we look at Belgium, we are losing 43 farms every week, which means that if we make a mathematical conclusion from that in 20 years there is no more farms in Belgium. Of course, it's not going to go like that. What is happening is that we have a growing number of big farms and a lowering number of small human scale farms. These are some global trends of which I just like to remind you. There are many more, but it's not the aim here to give a course. The aim is rather to find out what do we mean with this quality agriculture and quality food, and where do we want to go, what choices do we want to make. So I invite you to close your eyes for 2 minutes and imagine what is the dominant agriculture today in Europe. So just imagine it, so that you have a view in your mind. I will do it too. So I invite everyone, also the panel. Okay, by now slowly an image should emerge in your inward eye. May I ask someone to tell me what he or she saw? Is there a volunteer, or shall I point out one? Okay, great.
Land that's not being used. There are plenty of pieces of land that aren't being used, and there are loads of people that want to use the land that don't have it.
Okay. Other images?
Monocultures and pesticide spraying.
Others? Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I just see monocultures and pesticide spraying.
Others? Go on. Yeah.
Less and less farmers.
Yeah, okay. And what other images do you see? Yeah.
Big tractors and big trucks on highways.
Okay, yeah, this is also statistically very interesting. We see that there is indeed a growing number of tractors, and sales are going very well for the moment, even though we are supposed to be in a crisis. Okay, I think you all have created an image of where we are now. Now, I would like to do the same exercise very quickly. Where would you like agriculture in 30 years in Europe to be? What image can you create for that? Just imagine. It's easier with closed eyes. Okay, that's another quick exercise. The man in front of me, could you tell me what you saw? Maybe use the mic.
Some balance between big and small farming.
Mm-hmm. Great. Others?
Green biodiversity and lots of people putting their hands in the earth.
Great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lady there. Put on the mic.
Εγώ είδα πολύ κόσμο χαρούμενο, υγιή και να προσέχουν ένα στον άλλο. Μέσα καθαρή φύση.
Yes.
Eating more tasty fruits and products.
Okay, wonderful. Others? Yeah.
Stronger connections.
Use your mic.
Stronger,
Put it on first.
stronger connections between the farmers and the urban environment.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Yeah. Others? Yeah.
Εγώ είδα να χάνονται αγροτεμάχια και ειδικά στην Ελλάδα και δει στα νησιά από τις μεγάλες εφορίες και να μην υπάρχουν μικροαγρότες που να μπορούν πλέον να καλλιεργήσουν.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. But we are now looking at what we want in 30 years. I hope we don't want farmers to disappear in 30 years. Thank you. Okay, we will continue with the talk now. I'm thankful for your contributions, and I propose to fix the image that you created, take care of it, and try to behave in such a way that in 30 years we are there. We all have part of the solution in our hands. Okay, in 5 minutes I have to stop. Great. That won't be possible. I'll make it 7. It is a nice deal. So, how I got involved in the Gazap network is the first thing I would like to explain you. After my PhD, which was about how to develop ecological utopias in cities, I lived in Brussels during my studies and this PhD, and I was wondering what I was still doing in the city at a certain point, because I felt there was a great lack of human interaction, of green space, and of a secure environment where maybe one day I could raise children. So at that point I thought, okay, let's leave the city because I want to live in a more healthy environment. Luckily, in the same month where I was slowly deciding upon that, I met a network called Le Début des Haricots, which is a network here based in Brussels that is setting up projects like community gardens, an urban farm, giving lectures in schools to primary school students, and also setting up a network of producer-consumer interactions. And then I thought, maybe I don't have to leave the city, maybe I can stay here and see how the countryside and all the advantages it has can come back to the city. So I started to read a lot about why did agriculture actually one day disappear from the city, because if cities emerged, it's very often because it was easy to produce in these regions. So urban agriculture, for example, is something that is not at all new. It is maybe even older than cities. It was there before the city came there. This is actually the way I got involved in a first meeting about the Gazap network. That was in 2007, when there was one group of 20 people, 20 households who connected themselves to one farm. A farm who was in difficulties and wanted to connect up to consumers and wanted to share the risks with these consumers because they had problems being sure of their income. So now we are 2013 and there are about 60 of these groups instead of one. So the graph that Andrea showed is also very applicable here in Belgium. It is actually an example of how a new economy can emerge. And it's not only in the sector of agriculture that we can benefit from stronger producer-consumer connections, but it's for the whole economy. So I suggest to think as the economy, as a new emerging economy, as community-supported economies. I think we can really transpose the model of interactions between producers and consumers from one sector to another. Now, I will slowly have a look at the features of the Gazap network. What is typical is that there is a contract between producers and consumers. There is a very clear charter that explains from a social, environmental and economical point of view what kind of agriculture these consumers want to support. In Flanders we have the CSA network, which is a network of 15 farmers who decided upon a similar charter, but there is the producers and not the consumers who drafted the charter. And that's a very interesting difference. What we see is that in Flanders the network is more working like a guild. I don't know if you know the guilds. It's like a more medieval invention of cooperation between producers. It existed for a long time and it always re-emerges where there is economical crisis. It's about agreements between producers, agreements about price, quality, and therefore I think it's a very interesting theme to look upon when we ask ourselves what is actually quality food and quality agriculture. We have to set norms. And we can do that as citizens, we can do that as producers. And I think it's important to think about it, to decide upon what are these features, what are these norms that we actually want to reach. I see that by being quite severe in the CSA network, that we get to a point of really selecting the right kind of farmers who give confidence to consumers, to really connect them and to be loyal to their farmer, and also to raise their willingness to pay for the kind of agriculture that they have in front of them, because they know there is an engagement, a very clear engagement from the farmer to offer a certain norm. Because I don't have many minutes in front of me, I will quickly make a SWOT analysis of the Gazap network in Brussels and maybe also of the CSA network. When we talk about agriculture, I always do it from the point of view of agroecology. That is to say, I look at questions of multiple access. We cannot just look at agriculture as producing food. It's about access to a market for a farmer. It's about access to know-how and knowledge for the farmer. It's about access to capital and access to production means. And the most important production means is land and seeds. Land is also a big problem in Europe. What we see here in Belgium, for example, is that for 1 hectare, in average, a farmer has to pay 40,000 to 50,000 euros. It's an incredible amount of money. If you want to start with a farm of 10 hectares, which is not so much, you have to pay €500,000 euros. This, as a starting capital, for somebody who does not come from the agricultural sector, is an enormous amount of money and an enormous barrier. Therefore, I quickly draw your attention to the existence of networks like Terre de Liens in France, Terre en Vue in Belgium, Regional AG in Germany, and many other producer-consumer networks, again, cooperatives, who try to bring money from citizens together in the form of saving money, buy land with it, and provide it to farmers. I think this is the way to go. The mass has an enormous force. If we have to rely on government and not on citizen action, then I think we will have to wait for a long time. It's now time to act, to use the legal means we have. Cooperatives, as Copa Cogena pointed out, have an enormous force, and they should not be used only for setting up networks like Gazap, but also for setting up networks like the Terre en Vue or Terre de Liens network, Terra Future in Italy, for example. If you have questions about that, don't hesitate, just taking on my shoulder afterwards. Now, if we look at these 4 access points, market, land, capital, and know-how, we forget 1, access to the farm. This is from the point of view of the consumer very important. If a network like Gazap is working very well and distinguishing itself from other networks, it's because they have access to the farm and to the farmer. Every week there are people in Brussels going to get their vegetables, and not only their vegetables, but also they are being loaded with social energy, let's say, with warmth, with love, with security, with talking to a farmer who explains them what was happening on the farm and how things are going, and people are nourished only by that already. And then they haven't eaten yet. I mean, they are going home with the food and they are already nourished. So I think this is a very important element we should not forget. We have to put back the human being in the middle and not only the strive for more economical benefits. Even though I think it's very important that the farms we put into place are economical viable farms where the average income is as high as any other job. There is no reason why farming should bring less money from pure production and not only from subsidies. I think it's maybe one point I disagree with one of the presenters before, that we cannot produce or survive without subsidies. I think we can be creative, and there's many examples in Belgium and in Europe where we can show that it's perfectly feasible. Now, what is the strength of the Gazette network? I think first of all, the citizen involvement. Secondly, the fact that there is risk sharing between farmer and producer. There is a higher income. There is more willingness to pay for the food by the citizens who participate in it. And it is a very socially inclusive network. That is to say that it's not like an exclusive network with high prices that bring about a kind of a group of people who are very convinced, who have a high income, who are in middle class, and I seem to have reached my 50 minutes. Okay, I quickly go through the weaknesses. Actually, one of the most important weaknesses of the Gazette network is probably its subsidy dependency. It's my personal point of view on this issue. I think it's very important if consumers set up networks that they also think about the economical independence of their functioning. Governments are more and more limiting budget that they provide to associative initiatives, citizen initiatives. We can debate about whether this is a good evolution or not, but it's what's happening. So I think it's very important to reflect about the business models of such networks. A second weakness is logistics. We have developed a network that is very widely spread, but I think that from a mobility point of view, there is much work to do. And I see good evolutions because there's now a European network that started to investigate how to improve this mobility. That's to say, where does the producer at what time drive his truck? Does he go into the city with what kind of vehicle at what time? Is there a crossover between certain farmers who collaborate, or is it all the time individual farmers who drive in parallel and thus actually waste energy and produce a lot of greenhouse gases? Opportunities are very clear. It brings about employment in a sector where we see the disappearance of farms. The Gazette network has supported new farmers to start farming and in a very successful way. Because they know that they can rely upon a strong social fabric that is being built by this Gazette network. That's a very important element. They're actually also reviving the city. What I see is that Gazettes, groups of families who hook up with farms, actually at a certain point go over the point of just being consumers. They also think, oh, maybe if we really have this power of influencing what is happening around us, why don't we also influence our environment, start a collective garden, or set up a solidarity box for people who have less access to food. If we all mutualize some money, we can include new people who do not have the opportunity to use or to access this network by their own means. So there are many new initiatives that are emerging from these Gazette groups. It definitely creates more social cohesion, definitely in those groups who still exist now since the very beginning. It's mainly groups in which there is regularly, like every week, there's a drink, or there is some eating together, or there is some social event. These groups do create social cohesion and also create more loyalty towards the farmer. So there is an interaction between the economical benefit and the social benefit. Okay, 30 seconds. I think it is also becoming slowly a model for other economical sectors. There are people from wood industry coming to us, and shoe industry, for example, as well, coming to us and asking, okay, how do you set up this kind of networks? Could we imagine to do the same thing, that people pre-invest in the production of furniture, the production of music as well. There's now a new network that will start up in Holland with in the opera sector, using the same model. What are the threats? It has been said before. One of the biggest problems we are dealing with is low prices for food. This is something we definitely have to revise, and it is entirely connected to subsidies. If there is a reason why subsidies indeed are now today very important for many farms, it's because of the low food prices. It's a debate in itself. I think we can spend a whole day on it. What are the causes? What are the possible solutions? And what are the pathways from these problems to these solutions? It's a threat. And I think we cannot ignore it. We are producing in a certain economical context that we do not master entirely. So it's quite important to re-embed farms in their local situation, that is their municipalities, and with the consumers think about what is actually the real value of food. So quality of food also means thinking about economical value. So I think I will limit myself to this. I hope that if there are people in this room who are interested in setting up something like a Gazap network in their home bases, I invite you to take contact with us simply through info@gazap, gasap.be. We are very willing to share our experiences with you and adapt it or give advice to how adapt it to your local situation. I thank you for your attention.